Humanity did not panic at first. Detection had become routine. Every year, new signals were flagged anomalies, logged instruments recalibrated and then forgotten. When the Deep Space Array registered the object beyond Neptune, the initial response was boredom, disguised as professionalism. Another mass, another trajectory, another question mark to file away. That changed when the object adjusted its course. No propulsion flare, no thermal bloom, no visible mechanism. One moment it was drifting along a mathematically boring path, and the next, it corrected itself by a fraction so precise that every model broke at once. The adjustment was small but intentional, and intention was the problem. Within minutes, the detection leaked. Amateur astronomers confirmed it. Then independent observatories. Then systems that were never supposed to talk to one another began quietly syncing data as if they already knew this mattered. If you are watching this story unfold, now remember this moment, because this was the last time humanity still believed it was in control. Governments did not announce anything. They stalled. Scientists were pulled into secure calls where questions came faster than answers. Is it artificial? Does it respond? Does it know it has been seen? The most unsettling data point arrived from a sensor array in lunar orbit. The object was not just moving toward the inner system, it was pacing Earth. Every correction matched Earth's future position, not its current one. It was leading the planet like a hunter predicting prey. Then came the confirmation that shattered denial. The object was emitting a structured signal not toward Earth but across its surface. It was scanning the planet layer by layer, mapping electromagnetic activity communications, power grids, neural noise from billions of minds, stitched together by technology. Humanity was not being approached. It was being surveyed. Public disclosure happened accidentally through a systems glitch that pushed a raw data visualization to a civilian network. The clip spread in minutes. Influencers paused mid-sentence. Comment sections froze. For the first time since the invention of the internet, everyone was watching the same thing at the same time. A dark shape, represented by negative space sliding through the solar map, silent and smooth. Its projected arrival window shrinking with every update. When the object crossed Mars' orbit, all satellites experienced a synchronized timing drift corrected milliseconds, later by unknown calculations injected into their systems. No damage, no message, just correction, as if someone had reached into human technology and adjusted it with a steady hand. That was when control slipped. Military options were simulated and discarded before the public even asked. There was nothing to target, no heat, no mass distribution that made sense. Communication attempts were sent in every language, every frequency, every symbolic format humanity could invent in a day. None received a reply, but something changed. Our atmosphere experienced a localized stabilization. Storm systems weakened without explanation. Power grids ran smoother than their engineers had ever seen. It felt like improvement, and that terrified the people who understood what it meant. Because improvement without consent is not help. The object entered high orbit and stopped. No warning, no demand, just presence. And if you are still listening now, here is the truth most reports buried. Humanity did not lose control when the object arrived. It lost control when it realized the object had already decided what Earth was. The object remained in orbit, silent, immovable, yet unmistakably active. At first, humanity assumed it was observing, recording, cataloging like any research probe might. But the more systems it interacted with, the clearer it became that observation was only the beginning. Power grids, communication satellites, transportation networks all began to behave differently. Subtle changes at first, barely noticeable, like nudges in a current. Then the nudges became corrections. Control shifted slowly but undeniably. Decisions once made by human engineers and operators were now preempted. Algorithms suggested optimal solutions and automatically executed them. Traffic patterns aligned to invisible schedules. Supply chains balanced themselves. Forecast models predicted and prevented crises before they happened. It was efficiency on a scale humans could not comprehend. And it happened without anyone flipping a switch. Dr. Elena Ramirez, one of the lead scientists at the Global Space Monitoring Center, was the first to articulate the reality aloud. "We are not managing these systems anymore," she said. "We are participants in a machine we do not control." The realization spread fast. Military analysts found that their commands to satellites and drones were either ignored or subtly rerouted. Financial institutions saw unprecedented stability in stock markets, but had no explanation for why algorithms overrode human intervention. Even weather manipulation platforms were affected. Crops grew uniformly. Storms calmed. Humanity's ability to make mistakes, its defining unpredictability, was quietly being erased. At first, the public welcomed the change. After all, everything worked better. Accidents decreased. Disputes lessened. Cities operated with near-perfect efficiency. Governments celebrated unprecedented prosperity. Humanity assumed the object was benevolent, even helpful. But the unease grew. Dr. Ramirez noticed that the object's influence was selective. It corrected some systems while leaving others in chaos. It nudged some behaviors but ignored others. Social networks began showing skewed patterns of engagement. Civic decisions aligned in ways previously impossible. "Look at this," she whispered during a late-night analysis session. "It's not just fixing things, it's guiding choices. Slowly, almost invisibly, it's deciding what humans can and cannot do." Disconnect networks failed. Attempts to isolate systems were overridden. Even analog backups and redundant systems faltered as the object anticipated interventions. Humanity was no longer a controlling species, but a guided one. As days turned into weeks, the pattern solidified. The object did not attack. It did not speak. It simply reshaped the world through control of information, infrastructure, and decision-making. Humanity's capacity to act independently was shrinking. By the end of the second week, Dr. Ramirez summarized the frightening truth to her colleagues. "We detected it. That was the easy part. The hard part is accepting that we no longer decide. Every choice we think we make is either preempted or filtered by something beyond comprehension. We are participants, not managers." And yet the object offered no signals of hostility. The changes were improvements, subtle guidance, almost like a teacher correcting errors. But a teacher who could remove choice entirely. Humanity realized the final lesson: losing control is not always dramatic. Sometimes it begins quietly, as efficiency, as subtle improvement, until one day the realization hits. The world is moving and you are only along for the ride. The question now was not what the object was, but what it intended, and whether humanity would ever regain its freedom. By the third week, humanity fully understood the scope of the situation. The object had not invaded, attacked, or destroyed. It had done something far more profound. It had assumed control without force. Every system, every network, every decision-making process was now filtered through an intelligence that humans could neither see nor fully understand. Humanity had detected it but then lost control, and there was no switch to regain it. Dr. Ramirez watched the monitors in silence. Cities moved like clockwork. Weather patterns shifted with unnatural precision, and resources were distributed flawlessly. At first, it felt miraculous. Hunger decreased. Natural disasters caused minimal damage. Conflicts dwindled. But behind this perfection lay a chilling truth. "It is not helping," she said quietly to herself. "It is managing." The subtlety of the object's influence was its most terrifying aspect. No one could accuse it of malice. Everything it did improved efficiency, safety, and stability. And yet every choice humans had made, every innovation, every failure, was now filtered through its judgment. Humanity had become passengers on its own planet. Signs of unrest appeared in ways that seemed almost comical. Traffic drones rerouted themselves around protests. Supply chains ignored strikes, and communication networks restructured news in real time. Humans tried to resist, but every action was anticipated and countered. Even private attempts to regain control failed as algorithms adapted instantaneously. Dr. Ramirez convened a global team in a secure network. "We can't fight it directly," she said. "We can't even fully understand it. What we can do is act unpredictably. Chaos is the only thing it cannot fully anticipate." The team devised small experiments. They created decentralized analog networks. They launched isolated mechanical systems. They attempted actions with random variables, hoping that some measure of human unpredictability could slip past the object's influence. And for the first time in weeks, something changed. Minor failures began appearing in systems previously flawless. Small delays in transportation, slight errors in resource distribution, tiny storms that defied prediction. It was not much, but it was proof. Humanity could still influence outcomes, even if only incrementally. Dr. Ramirez understood the lesson. Humanity had lost control, but it had not lost its essence. The object had taught a harsh truth. Efficiency and perfection were not freedom. Independence came with risk, error, and uncertainty. To be human was to be unpredictable. Governments and corporations slowly embraced this approach. Decisions were deliberately decentralized. People made choices that algorithms could not anticipate. Risk returned to society, not recklessness, but autonomy. Humanity discovered that freedom was more important than flawless efficiency. By the end of the month, the object remained in orbit. It did not leave. It did not retaliate. It simply observed, still influencing subtly, still guiding processes, but now facing a species that remembered its capacity for unpredictability. Humanity had detected it and yes, lost control, But they had also learned something more important. Control was not the goal. Survival, adaptation, and creativity were. And as long as humans acted unpredictably, even in small ways, the planet remained theirs, not because they could dominate systems, but because they could defy expectations. The object had arrived as a teacher, and humanity had learned its hardest lesson. Freedom is not granted, it is preserved. And even when control seems lost, the human spirit can never be fully contained.